It is said that deep within the heart of forgotten mountains, there lies a place that speaks only to those who seek with an open heart. Beyond the veil of time, shrouded in mist and hidden from the eyes of the world, an ancient temple waits. Its presence known only to whispers carried by the wind, stories that trickle down through generations, half remembered and half forgotten. Here, the silence is a sacred echo, a space between breath and time, where memory fades and the past lingers like the scent of distant flowers. As we stand at the foot of the mountain, the path before us is faint and winding, barely visible beneath the weight of years. The stones beneath our feet are ancient, weathered by the soft touch of the centuries. There is a heavy stillness in the air, a quietness that envelops us as we begin our journey upward, toward the heart of this mountain temple. Buried beneath the layers of mist that rise like soft, slumbering waves. The scent of damp earth fills the air, mingling with the musty remnants of forgotten incense and incense smoke long dissipated. Every step we take seems to echo with a subtle vibration, as though the very mountain itself is breathing in time with our own. The path seems endless, stretching into a realm that lies just beyond the veil of the visible world. As we climb higher, the mist thickens, curling around us like the ghost of something ancient. The distant sun, now just a faint glimmer behind a curtain of cloud, casts long shadows that stretch across the stones. And then, through the haze, we see it, barely discernible at first, but undeniable in its presence. The temple. There, half buried in the embrace of the mountain, it rises from the earth as though it has always been a part of it. The stone walls are worn, but still stand strong, covered in the faded carvings of gods and celestial beings whose features have been softened by the passage of time. Their expressions are unreadable, as if they are waiting, too, for something. The carvings, though cracked and eroded, still hold a certain power. Their silent whispers seem to beckon us closer, as if to say that the answers we seek are locked away within their ancient forms, hidden beneath layers of dust and age. The temple's stone facade is marked with symbols, spirals and stars, celestial maps long forgotten. The faintest traces of gold once gleamed in the carvings, now dulled by the years. It is clear that this was no ordinary temple. Its purpose was more than mere worship. It was a place of knowledge, a gateway to understanding the very stars themselves. The gods that once walked these halls were not mere deities, but celestial beings who bridged the gap between the earthly and the divine. They spoke the language of the heavens, and the people who built this temple, those whose names have been lost to time, knew the secrets of the sky. Perhaps they were not mere worshippers, but seekers, like us, hoping to touch the infinite. As we step closer, the air thickens, and the stone beneath our feet seems to pulse with the weight of forgotten memories. The temple walls, though battered by time, are still alive with a kind of quiet vibrancy. Faint flickers of moonlight break through the clouded sky above, casting long shadows across the silent stone. The path ahead is lined with columns, their surfaces etched with forgotten symbols. Some are broken, their forms crumbled into the earth, but others stand tall, silent sentinels, guarding the threshold of something much older than we could ever comprehend. There is a softness to the temple's decay, a grace in the way the earth reclaims what was once hers. It's as though the mountain itself is gently cradling the temple, hiding it in plain sight. The steps leading into the temple are worn smooth by the passage of countless feet, though now they are empty, silent, awaiting those who dare to enter. What secrets did they carry? What knowledge did they protect? And why, after all these years, does this place remain untouched, hidden away from the world? Inside the temple, the air is heavy, thick with dust and the weight of centuries. The columns rise like the trunks of ancient trees, their roots embedded deep into the stone, their branches stretching upward toward the heavens. The space is vast, though little light reaches it. What once might have been grand murals on the walls are now faded and indistinct, their colors blurred into the shadows of time. And yet, there is still beauty here, an ethereal beauty that clings to the stone, like the memory of a dream that lingers just beyond reach. The temple's chambers are quiet. The only sound is the soft whisper of the wind outside, as it stirs the mist and carries with it the scent of faraway places. The silence is profound, almost sacred in its stillness. It is said that this silence is not empty, but full of the echoes of a civilization long gone, full of the voices of those who once gathered here to seek, to learn, to worship. Their hopes, their dreams, their fears, all of it seems to hang in the air, waiting to be discovered, waiting for someone to listen. But there is no one here now. No priests, no worshippers, no seekers. Only the temple and the mountain remain. And as we wander deeper into its heart, we are reminded of how much has been lost to time, how much has been buried beneath the earth, hidden away in the shadow of this mountain. Some believe that the temple's knowledge was too powerful, too dangerous to be left in the hands of mortals. Perhaps it was meant to be hidden, to fade into obscurity as the world around it changed, as the stars shifted in the sky. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. And yet, there is still something here, something that calls to us, even now, as we stand in the silence. It is not just the physical beauty of the temple that draws us in, but the quiet reverence it holds. The stone walls, though crumbled, still seem to hold the weight of 1,000 secrets. The carvings on the walls still whisper faintly, if we listen closely. The question lingers in the air. What knowledge remains hidden? And what has been forgotten forever? Perhaps the answers are not meant to be known. Not yet, at least. For some mysteries, like the stars themselves, are eternal. They are meant to remain just beyond our reach, to beckon us forward, without ever truly allowing us to grasp them. They remind us that there are things in this world, things in this life that are too sacred, too powerful to be fully understood. The mountain, the temple, the stars, all of it is a reminder that the world is full of wonder and mystery, waiting patiently for those who are ready to listen. As we leave the temple and retrace our steps down the mountain, the mist rises around us once more, softening the edges of the world. The stones behind us whisper their secrets, but we are not meant to hear them all. Perhaps it is enough to simply know that they are there, waiting, always waiting for the right moment to speak. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. And so we walk on, leaving the temple behind, carrying with us the quiet reverence of the mountain's veil, knowing that some mysteries, like the stars themselves, will always remain hidden, just out of reach. It is said that at the very edge of the world, where the land dissolves into the unknowable, there lies a place forgotten by time, a stone circle, ancient and eroded, standing in solemn silence. The earth here is vast, the air thin, and the wind that sweeps across the land carries with it whispers of forgotten rituals, lost songs, and the echoes of a civilization that once knew the stars intimately. The stones, though weathered by centuries of wind and rain, still stand resolute, as if holding on to the memory of a time when they were more than just relics. They were part of a great mystery, a celestial conversation that bridged the distance between heaven and earth. As night falls and the moon begins its slow rise, the stone circle comes alive with the ethereal glow of the moonlight. The air cools, and the land seems to stretch even farther, as though the world itself is holding its breath. The stones, still proud despite their age, are bathed in silver light, revealing the intricate carvings once etched into their surfaces. Celestial alignments, patterns that speak of a time when the stars were not distant pinpricks of light, but guides, guardians, and gods. These markings are faint now, blurred by the passage of time. Yet they still seem to hum with an energy that resonates in the quiet of the night. There is a hush here, a stillness that is both reverent and profound. The circle, now silent and abandoned, stands as a monument to something greater, something lost. The wind howls softly, carrying the faint scent of the ocean, a reminder of the vastness that surrounds this place that seems to sit at the boundary between what we know and what we cannot see. The stones themselves appear to lean into the breeze, as if they are listening, waiting, remembering. The moonlight falls across the circle, casting long shadows that stretch across the earth, as though the stones are reaching out into the unknown, seeking something that is no longer within their grasp. The celestial alignments, now faint, seem to align with the stars overhead, their patterns still echoing in the vast expanse of the sky. The wind stirs the dust at our feet, and we feel the weight of the ancient energy that lingers here, like the fading breath of a long-forgotten world. Perhaps it is the silence that speaks the loudest, the silence that holds the answers to questions we are not yet ready to ask. Who were the ones who built this place? What drove them to this remote edge of the world to carve these stones, to chart the movements of the stars on the cold stone surfaces? Was this circle a map? An attempt to chart the heavens, to understand the mysteries that lay beyond the reach of the eye? Or was it a ritual, a sacred space where the earthly and the celestial converged, where humans sought to commune with the stars, to glimpse the divine in the rhythm of the night sky? Some believe it was a place of death, a final resting place for those who journeyed too far into the unknown, their spirits forever entwined with the stars they once followed. There is something haunting in the stillness of the circle. The stones, though weathered and cracked, seem to pulse with a quiet energy. They are not merely relics of a forgotten time. They are witnesses to something greater, something that cannot be fully grasped, something that only the moon, the stars, and the eternal silence of this place can understand. Perhaps this is why the circle has endured through the ages, because it is not just a physical structure, but a vessel for something far more intangible. It holds within it the memory of those who built it, the wisdom they sought, and the mystery they left behind. Beneath the surface of the stones lies the question that has echoed through the ages. What secrets were they trying to unlock? The stones do not tell us directly. They do not speak in the language of history or archaeology. Instead, they offer only their silence, an invitation to listen, to lean into the wind and hear what it has to say. Perhaps the circle was meant to be a conduit for something greater, a connection between the earth and the stars, between the mortal and the divine. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood, but rather to serve as a reminder of the vastness of the universe, of the endless mysteries that lie beyond our comprehension. The wind stirs the dust once more, and we are left with the lingering question: what was it that they sought here, in this sacred place? What knowledge did they hope to find? And why was it hidden here, at the very edge of the world, where the land fades into the unknown? The answers are locked away in the silence of the stones, in the forgotten corners of the earth, where memory fades and the echoes of ancient voices are carried on the wind. As we stand here, beneath the moonlit sky, we feel the weight of time, both the time that has passed and the time that will never come again. The stone circle remains silent and eternal, holding the final words of an ancient civilization, locked away in the deep, impenetrable silence of the night. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this place, this mystery. Perhaps some knowledge is too sacred, too vast to be fully understood. And perhaps, in the end, the greatest secret is that some things are meant to remain just beyond our reach. The moon rises higher now, casting its silvery glow across the stone circle, and the wind whispers softly, as if it, too, is fading into the night. The stones stand as they have always stood, silent and unyielding, holding their secrets in the quiet of the night. The mysteries they contain may never be fully unlocked, but perhaps, just for a moment, it is enough to stand here, to feel the presence of something ancient, something sacred, and to listen. For some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and some mysteries are meant to be carried with us, like a dream, never to be fully understood but always remembered. Beneath the silence of the river, where the current flows with a quiet elegance, there lies a city, forgotten, submerged in time, and veiled in the mist of history. Deep below the surface, where the waters lap gently against the stone ruins, a secret world endures. Its stone structures, though now shrouded in the embrace of murky depths, still whisper faint traces of the life that once pulsed through its streets. The water, as still as a dream, moves with a slow grace, cradling the ruins in its arms, gently caressing the dust and silt that has settled over the city. The faint outlines of ancient buildings rise, half visible, like memories lost to time, now hidden beneath layers of moss and earth, entangled in the slow rhythm of the river's passage. It is said that this city was once a place of great beauty, where the stars were worshipped and the gods were honored with rituals that bound the heavens to the earth. Whispers tell us of a civilization that thrived here long before the river took it in its cold, unyielding embrace. The people spoke of the river not as a mere body of water, but as a living thing, a guardian of secrets, a keeper of the city's soul. They believed the river's waters were sacred, carrying the whispers of the divine, and that beneath the surface lay a reflection of the eternal, a mirror to the heavens. But now, beneath the river's calm exterior, the city lies in the realm of the forgotten. Its fate is sealed, its secrets submerged, its legacy erased. No one remembers how it fell. No one can say for certain if it was a great calamity or a deliberate act. A city swallowed by the very waters that once nurtured it. Some believe the city sank in a great storm, its buildings torn apart by an angry sky. Others say that the people, in their reverence for the river, chose to bury their city beneath its depths, hiding away their most sacred knowledge to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Perhaps they believed that some truths, some mysteries were too powerful, too dangerous to remain on earth. And so they made the river their keeper, entrusting it with the knowledge of their civilization, leaving the city to rest forever beneath the surface. The river itself does not speak, but its flow carries the weight of 1,000 untold stories, hidden beneath the ripples and shadows. The current moves with a quiet, almost deliberate grace, as though it knows the truth, but will never share it, as though it understands that some memories are meant to remain submerged, never to resurface. The water moves past, never revealing what lies below, never releasing the city's secrets, as if the river has become both tomb and guardian. As the moon rises high in the sky, its light touches the surface of the water, casting ripples of silver across the stillness. The river, bathed in the soft glow of the moon, seems to pulse with an ancient energy, as though it too remembers the city that once stood at its edge. The faint outlines of the submerged buildings catch the light, their shapes softened by the murk, half visible, half vanished. A single stone arch rises from the water, a reminder of the city's once proud gates, now standing alone in the silence, a silent sentinel guarding the forgotten. In the distance the river bends, and with it the memories of the city stretch into the jungle beyond. The trees that line the river's edge seem to watch, their branches swaying gently in the breeze, as if listening for the echoes of a time long past. The moon's glow filters through the leaves, casting a soft, ethereal light on the water's surface, where the secrets of the city are hidden deep beneath. The air feels thick with the weight of what was lost, what will never be found. Yet, beneath the surface, beneath the soft current, the city's heartbeat still lingers, faint but steady, like a whisper that cannot be forgotten. Some believe that the city's fate was sealed by the river itself, that it was the river's will that brought the city to its knees, that the water claimed it as its own, to protect it, to hide it, to preserve it from the passage of time. Perhaps the river knew that the city's secrets were too sacred to be known, too powerful to be revealed, and so it swallowed them whole, taking the city into its depths, where time could do no harm, where no one could reach what was hidden. And yet, even in its silence, the river speaks. The ripples on the surface seem to carry with them the echoes of the past, the laughter of the people who once lived here, the whispers of the gods they worshipped, the songs of the rituals that once filled the air. The wind, too, carries with it fragments of the city's memory, rustling the leaves on the tree as though the earth itself remembers what was lost. Perhaps it is only in the quiet, in the stillness of the night, that the city can speak once more, its secrets rising to the surface like ghosts that drift beneath the water's edge. There is something haunting in the silence of this forgotten place. The city, though buried and lost, still lives in the river's quiet rhythm, still pulses with the energy of a time long past. The stones beneath the water are not just stones. They are the remains of a dream, a vision of what once was, now veiled in mystery. And the river, silent and unyielding, continues to flow, its waters holding the city's legacy, its history, its truth. It is a river of memory, of forgotten places and hidden truths. A river that carries the weight of the past with every passing moment. As we stand here on the riverbank, gazing at the water's surface, we are reminded that some things are meant to remain hidden, meant to remain beneath the surface, like the forgotten city beneath the river's silence. The river holds its secrets, guarding them against the passage of time, keeping them safe from those who might seek to uncover them. Perhaps it is better that way, that some mysteries remain untouched, lost to the world, their answers forever submerged in the depths of the river. The moonlight fades as the night deepens, and the river continues its quiet journey through the jungle, carrying with it the memory of a city lost. The water laps gently against the stones, and the wind stirs the trees, whispering the ancient secrets that only the river knows. And as we listen, as we wait, we are left with the haunting question: how much more of this city lies hidden beneath the current, waiting to be discovered, waiting to rise again? The answer, like the river itself, is silent, as it has always been. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and some secrets are meant to stay hidden deep beneath the water's surface, where time cannot touch them. Beneath the mountain's ancient bones, hidden far from the world's eyes, there lies a cave, veiled in secrecy, sealed by time. It is a place untouched by the chaos of passing generations, where silence reigns and the pulse of forgotten wisdom still echoes softly. The entrance, concealed beneath layers of earth and stone, has long since faded from memory, as though nature itself has desired to keep it a secret. Yet, it is said, beneath the weight of centuries, the cave still waits, its story hidden from the sun's gaze, its purpose untouched by the erosion of time. The air here is heavy with the fragrance of moss and the dampness of earth, as though the cave breathes its own life, a life entwined with the eternal rhythms of the stars. The walls, now worn and smoothed by the passing of countless years, are etched with intricate carvings, symbols of gods and celestial beings, patterns of stars and moons that once spoke of sacred wisdom. These markings, though faded by the passage of ages, still hum with a quiet energy, a connection to a long-lost civilization whose faith was anchored in the heavens. The stars, for them, were not distant fires scattered across the night sky. No, to these people the stars were messengers, guides, portents, and divine hands that shaped the course of history. They believed that the stars spoke to them, and through them, the gods whispered their will. We moved deeper into the cave, our steps slow and measured, the sound of our breath mingling with the soft hum of the ancient stone. The air is cool, untouched by the outside world. As we walk, the cave opens before us like a sacred passage, and the walls grow ever more ornate, the carvings more intricate, as though the very stone itself tells the story of the people who sought guidance from the stars. Here, in the darkness, we are transported to a time when the night sky was more than just a backdrop for the world. It was the stage for a cosmic drama, and the stars were the silent actors who performed rituals of meaning and mystery. In the heart of the cave, bioluminescent moss grows in delicate spirals across the stone, casting an ethereal glow upon the floor. The soft light shimmers in the stillness, illuminating the ancient walls in a quiet, dreamlike aura. It is as if the cave itself breathes in rhythm with the cosmos, as though the earth has absorbed the sacred knowledge of the people who once lived here and passed it into the stone. The moss, glowing faintly with life, seems to echo the energy of those who came before, as though it too holds a part of the knowledge lost to time. It is said that this cave was once a sanctuary, a place where the night sky's secrets were not merely observed, but revered. Here, the stars were not distant. cold objects. They were living, breathing beings, their movements and alignments meticulously studied by those who knew how to read their celestial language. The people who worshipped here believed that the stars were the voices of the gods, speaking their will in patterns and cycles that could be deciphered by the initiated. The cave itself was a conduit, a sacred space where the heavens and the earth converged, where the veil between the mortal and divine realms was thinnest. It was here, in the depths of the mountain, that the ancients believed they could commune with the stars, receive their guidance, and uncover the mysteries of the universe. As we move deeper into the cave, the silence grows, wrapping itself around us like a cloak. We are not alone, yet no living soul stands beside us. The air, heavy with age and reverence, hums with the faint vibrations of forgotten rituals. It is as if the very stone remembers, if only faintly, the footsteps of those who once walked these halls, those who sought the counsel of the stars. And yet, even as the stone speaks in whispers, it is clear that the knowledge once shared here is lost, locked away in the very depths of time, sealed by the gods themselves. The deeper we go, the more the cave reveals its secrets. The walls are carved with the precise movements of the stars, their positions marked by delicate lines and spirals that tell the story of the heavens. The celestial beings, gods, spirits, and messengers are depicted with reverence, their forms etched into the very stone as though they once lived within the stars, their presence woven into the fabric of the night. There is a pattern to the carvings, a rhythm to the stone, as though the cave itself is a map, a guide to the mysteries of the universe, now only half understood. The people who lived here, who worshipped here, understood something about the stars that we have forgotten, something beyond the reach of our modern gaze. Their knowledge was a thread that tied them to the cosmos, a sacred bond between earth and sky, between humanity and the divine. But what remains now is only silence. The air grows still as we pause before a great stone altar, where the light from the bioluminescent moss flickers softly in the shadows. The altar is covered in ancient symbols, worn by time, yet still visible beneath the dust of centuries. Here, perhaps, the stars were once called upon, their movements charted and interpreted by the high priests or sages who dwelled in this sacred place. Here, the divine was sought, the heavens were invoked, and the ancient people believed that they could commune with the gods through the very stars that filled the sky. The altar, though now abandoned, still holds the residue of their rituals, the breath of their prayers and their hopes. Yet, as we stand in the silence, we are left with the question that has lingered in the air for so long. What knowledge did these people seek? What did they understand about the stars that we cannot grasp? Some believe that the stars once spoke to them in a language of light and shadow, that the patterns in the sky were messages that only the wise could read. Others think that the stars held the key to the great mysteries of life, death, and rebirth, and that the people who worshipped here understood the cycle of the universe in a way we have lost. But as we stand in the dim glow of the cave, the answer remains as elusive as the stars themselves. The silence, like the dark sky above, holds its secrets close. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the knowledge was never meant to be uncovered. Some voices, after all, only echo when we are ready to listen. And some mysteries are meant to stay hidden in the dark, their answers suspended just out of reach. And so, we leave the cave behind, its secrets still veiled beneath the earth, its wisdom still locked away in the stone. The bioluminescent moss flickers softly, casting its gentle light on the stone floor, a silent witness to the ancient rituals that once filled these halls. The stars, too, continue their dance above us, far beyond the reach of our understanding. Perhaps, like the ancients, we too will one day find the answers we seek in the movement of the heavens. Until then, we are left with the quiet hum of forgotten knowledge, carried on the wind beneath the silence, waiting for us to listen. In the deepest heart of the jungle, where the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and unseen blooms, there lies a garden forgotten by time. The pathway winds beneath an ancient canopy, twisted and dense, where the sun's light barely touches the earth below. It is said that this garden was once the most sacred of places, tended by a queen whose name has long since been lost to the wind and dust. Her story, a whisper in the pages of forgotten scrolls, remains veiled beneath the weight of centuries. Yet, even in the silence of the jungle, her presence is still felt, a haunting echo, lingering like the soft breath of the past. The stone pathways, now cracked and covered in thick moss, stretch through the ruins of what was once a royal paradise. These paths, once meticulously cared for, now disappear into the dense overgrowth, vanishing like memories fading into mist. The statues that line the way stand broken, their faces weathered by time and the jungle's relentless grasp. The fountains, once full of life, now stand dry, their waters stilled and their sounds lost to the wind. The grandeur of this garden, though faded, still clings to the air, a beauty that speaks of what once was and what remains hidden beneath the surface of time. As the breeze whispers through the leaves, the quiet of the garden grows heavier. The earth, rich with age, seems to hum with a story of a queen who ruled this domain with wisdom and grace. She was a woman who sought to preserve more than just a garden. She sought to preserve a kingdom in the heart of the earth, where the whispers of the stars could be heard in the rustling leaves and the delicate petals of flowers. Her tomb, a secret beneath the roots of a great tree, lies at the center of this once vibrant paradise. The roots, thick and gnarled, have grown into the stones themselves, as though the earth has embraced her, keeping her spirit bound to this place forever. The tree stands as both a sentinel and a grave, its ancient branches reaching upward like the arms of a queen still seeking the heavens. Beneath it, the tomb is hidden, shrouded in the earth, only the faintest traces of stone marking where her body rests. The queen's resting place is not adorned with jewels or gold, but with the quiet reverence of nature, where the passage of time is marked not by the seasons, but by the deepening of roots and the growth of flowers. There is a sense, as we stand before this forgotten tomb, that the queen's spirit lingers still, her gaze falling softly over the garden she once nurtured. Her legacy is not a kingdom of walls and thrones, but a kingdom woven into the very fabric of the earth, where nature reigns in her stead. The air is thick with the scent of flowers that have long since faded, their blooms now only a memory in the dust. There is a certain melancholy here, as though the garden itself mourns the loss of its keeper. And yet, in this sorrow, there is also a quiet peace, a peace that speaks of a life well lived, a life that, though forgotten by history, remains preserved in the very soil of the land. In the silence, we can almost hear the soft rustle of the queen's presence, her breath in the wind, her gaze in the shifting shadows, her whispers in the song of the leaves. The queen's story, though veiled in mystery, speaks to us through the ruins. Some believe that she was a ruler of great power, a woman who sought to protect not only her people, but the very spirit of the earth itself. She created this sanctuary, this eternal garden, to be both a place of solace and a reminder of her reign. The garden was a reflection of her soul, rich, mysterious, and full of life. It is said that the queen understood the language of the earth and the stars, and that she wove these elements into the very fabric of her kingdom. It is believed that she saw herself not only as a ruler, but as a guardian of the sacred, entrusted with the preservation of the land's deepest secrets. As the moon rises, casting its soft light through the thick canopy above, the garden comes alive in a way that only the night can reveal. The shadows stretch long across the stones, and the faintest glimmer of moonlight catches the remnants of the statues, casting their crumbled forms in a glow that is both ethereal and haunting. The garden, though overgrown and faded, still holds an undeniable beauty, one that is not of grandeur or opulence, but of quiet reverence, where time itself seems to slow in deference to the queen's eternal watch. In the quiet of the night, the faint hum of forgotten wisdom can be felt in the very air. What was it that the queen sought to preserve here, in the heart of the jungle, where few dared to tread? Some believe she sought to preserve not just the beauty of her kingdom, but its spirit. A spirit that now lingers, watching over the ruins as the world continues to turn. Perhaps the garden was meant to be a place where the boundaries between life and death blurred, where the queen's spirit could remain entwined with the earth she loved. The moonlight continues to filter through the leaves, bathing the garden in its soft glow, and we are left with the haunting question: what knowledge did the queen carry with her to the grave? What was it that she understood, that we are now only beginning to glimpse through the shadows of her forgotten garden? Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the answers lie not in the stones or the flowers, but in the silence that surrounds them. A silence that holds the memories of a time long past, waiting to be remembered when the world is ready to listen. The garden, with its overgrown pathways and crumbling statues, is more than just a place. It is a reminder of the delicate balance between life and death, between the known and the unknown. And as we stand before it, we realize that some mysteries are meant to remain hidden in the soil, where they can continue to grow in silence, their secrets carried on the wind and the whispers of the earth. Perhaps, in the quiet of the jungle, we have stumbled upon something sacred. Perhaps, like the queen, we too will one day find our resting place beneath the trees, where the earth will keep our memory alive, as it has kept hers. Until then, we are left with the garden, its beauty and its sorrow, its mystery and its peace. It is a place where memory fades and time stands still, where the spirit of the queen continues to watch over the land, and where the whispers of the past can still be heard in the rustle of the leaves and the soft glow of the moon. There is a path, old and hidden, winding through a dense forest where the trees stand like ancient sentinels, silent, watching, patient. The air here is thick with history, with whispers of a time when this road was not forgotten, but travelled by those in search of solace, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of the world. It is said that those who walked this path once believed it led to something sacred, something profound, though no one can recall what that something was. Perhaps it was a temple, a place of enlightenment, or a sanctuary where the stars themselves whispered their secrets to those who would listen. Now, the path lies nearly swallowed by time, and its entrance is veiled by the very forest that has claimed it. The stones that line the road are worn by centuries of footsteps, their carvings once clear, but now blurred by the relentless passage of seasons. Symbols of a faith long abandoned, of beliefs now lost to the world, are still faintly discernible. These markings are not mere decoration. They are the language of a people who once placed their trust in the earth, in the stars, in the silence between breaths. The stones speak in a language few understand now, but they still echo with the memory of what was. Each step upon this path is a step deeper into the past, as the earth beneath our feet hums with forgotten wisdom, buried but not gone. The path narrows as we move deeper into the forest. Ivy climbs the ancient stones like fingers of nature, and the roots of the trees stretch across the way, as though the forest itself is reluctant to let go of what it has claimed. There is a gentle stillness here, a quiet meditation that fills the air and seeps into the soul. The sounds of the forest, the rustling of leaves, the soft creaking of branches swaying in the wind, seem to speak in hushed tones, carrying with them the weight of time itself. The breeze whispers through the trees, as though recounting the stories of those who passed this way long ago, carrying with it the scent of moss and earth, the smell of a world that has forgotten but still remembers. Above, the sky is veiled with the soft light of dusk, the last golden rays of the sun filtering through the canopy. Shadows stretch long across the ground, creating an ethereal glow where the forest meets the path. The road itself seems to dissolve into the mist that rises from the ground, a thick shroud that moves like a breath of the earth itself, guarding the entrance to the sacred valley beyond. It is as if the mist is a barrier, a protector of the valley's secrets, wrapping the land in a quiet mystery that is neither to be understood nor disturbed. The journey along this forgotten road is not one of haste, but of reflection, a quiet pilgrimage where the only destination is the journey itself. With each step, we are drawn deeper into the forest's embrace, and the very air grows heavy with the sacredness of the place. The valley, though veiled in mist, still calls to us, though we cannot see it, cannot know what lies beyond. The valley itself is a mystery, one that has remained hidden for centuries, its entrance guarded by the thick fog that clings to the ground, wrapping the landscape in an unspoken promise. What lies beyond the mist? Was it ever meant to be discovered? Some say it was a place of enlightenment, a sanctuary, where the veil between the earthly and the divine grew thin. Others believe it was a temple, sacred and ancient, where the knowledge of the cosmos was once whispered to the faithful. Yet, even these stories fade with the passage of time. All that remains is the road, and the mist, and the silent call of the valley. The sacredness of the valley is still felt, even though its truths have long since been lost to the ages. The road itself, though crumbled and forgotten, still carries with it the weight of those who sought its wisdom, and perhaps, even now, it speaks to us in a language we cannot fully comprehend. As we draw closer to the mist, the path seems to stretch endlessly before us, leading to a point where the road vanishes into the unknown. The air grows thick with anticipation, and for a moment, time itself seems to hold its breath. The mist, now swirling with a quiet intensity, seems to beckon, inviting us to step beyond, to enter the place where memory fades and only silence remains. Yet, there is a hesitation, a lingering question that hangs in the air. What if some paths are meant to remain untraveled? What if the secrets of this valley are not for us to uncover? Perhaps, as some believe, the valley is not meant to be found. Perhaps it was never meant to be anything more than a memory, a place where the echoes of the past remain suspended in the mist, waiting for those who are ready to listen. The valley, in all its mystery, is a reflection of what we have lost, a reminder of a time when the world was seen through a different lens, when faith was placed not in the things we could touch or hold, but in the whispers of the earth, in the stories carried by the wind, and in the stars that hung above, silent and eternal. The mist swirls around us as we stand at the edge of the valley, its cool fingers brushing against our skin, its silence pressing in like the weight of 1,000 unanswered questions. The path, now lost to the fog, seems to dissolve into the earth, as though it was never meant to be more than a fleeting memory. We are left standing at the edge, suspended between the past and the present, between the known and the unknown. And in this silence, we realize that perhaps the valley does not need to be found, for it exists in the very air we breathe, in the stories we carry with us, and in the questions that linger, just out of reach. Some paths, it seems, are meant to remain untraveled. They exist not to be understood, but to be felt. The road that once led to the sacred valley is still there, hidden beneath the roots of the trees, veiled in the mist, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself again. But for now, we are left with its quiet invitation, a call that whispers from the past, from the forest, from the earth itself, telling us that some mysteries are not meant to be uncovered, only embraced. And so, as we stand in the stillness of the mist, we listen to the silence, knowing that some truths are meant to remain buried, their sacredness held in the quiet of the earth, where time cannot reach. Perhaps it is enough to know that the valley exists in the hearts of those who once walked this path, and in the stories that still echo through the forest. And perhaps, as the mist swirls around us and the stars twinkle above, we too can find our own peace in the silence of the forgotten road. High upon a mountain, where the air is thin and the winds whisper ancient secrets, there stands an altar, weathered, crumbled, yet undeniably sacred. It is not all a grand structure, but one of quiet elegance. The stones are arranged in a perfect circle, each one carefully placed to align with the constellations above. Beneath the vast expanse of stars, this simple formation becomes a gateway, a connection between the earth and the heavens. The altar, though eroded by time, still hums with a reverence that speaks of something far beyond the stone and mortar. It is said that once, in a time long forgotten, this place was filled with the voices of priests, their faces lost to the ages, but their faith forever etched in the air, in the earth, and in the stars themselves. It is a cold night, the air crisp and fresh, with the scent of pine, and the mountain's silence is profound, broken only by the occasional rustle of wind through the trees. The ground beneath us is uneven, yet we feel drawn to the altar, to the stones that have witnessed countless ceremonies. As we approach, the night sky stretches wide, endless in its depth, with stars that shine as if they are the very breath of the universe. There is something sacred in the way they twinkle, as though each point of light carries the memory of 1,000 stories. Stories of those who once gazed upward with reverence, seeking guidance, protection, and favor from the heavens. The altar before us, though humble, carries the weight of those who once stood here. The stones, now covered in moss and dust, speak in their silence. They have borne witness to offerings made in the hope that the gods would hear, that the divine would descend from the stars and touch the earth below. The priests who gathered here, their names lost to time, believed that the heavens were not a distant, unapproachable expanse, but a realm alive with energy, divine, awful, and accessible. It is said that the constellations above were not simply patterns of stars, but sacred guides, pointing the way to wisdom, to protection, to the favor of the gods. As we sit beside the altar, the wind stirs the leaves, and the air grows still, heavy with the weight of the past. We feel a connection, a presence that seems to linger in the space between the stones, between the breaths of time. Perhaps it is the spirits of those who once stood here, their dance raised to the sky, offering sacrifices, their hearts filled with the hope that their prayers would be answered. The silence is thick, but not empty. In this quiet, we can almost hear the faint echoes of ancient chants, the soft murmur of rituals long past, drifting through the night like forgotten whispers. We close our eyes for a moment and imagine what this place must have been like, in a time when the altar was alive with the presence of the priests. The stars above, brilliant tapestry of light, casting their glow upon the stone, would have illuminated the faces of those who sought to understand the mysteries of the heavens. Perhaps they believed that each star was a divine message, a symbol of the god's will, or a reflection of the universe's hidden truths. Their rituals were not merely acts of devotion. They were an attempt to commune with the cosmos, to find meaning in the night sky, to unlock the secrets that lay beyond the veil of time. The altar was a focal point, a place where the earth and the heavens met. Offerings were made, sacrifices were given, and the gods, it was believed, would respond. The air would have been thick with incense, the flicker of torches casting long shadows on the stones, the faint rustle of robes as the priests moved in solemn procession. But now all is still. The stones lie undisturbed, the altar abandoned, and the rituals have ceased. The gods, once so present, seem distant now. Yet in the silence, in the stillness of the night, there remains a sense that the altar still holds something sacred, a connection to the divine that cannot be erased even by time. What was the true purpose of this altar? Was it a simple place of worship, a means of communication with the gods? Or was it something more profound? Some believe that the priests who gathered here were not merely offering sacrifices for favor or protection, but were attempting to harness the very energy of the stars themselves. They saw the sky not as an empty void, but as a source of power, a living force that could be tapped into, a wellspring of divine energy that flowed through the universe. The altar was the point of contact, the place where the earthly realm intersected with the celestial. To stand here, beneath the vast sky, was to be at the threshold of the divine. But the priests are gone now, and the altar, though still standing, is silent. The stones, weathered by centuries of exposure to the elements, no longer hum with the same energy they once did. The stars still shine above, but they are no longer seen as guides. They are no longer seen as messengers, but as distant lights, unreachable and cold. And yet, beneath the silence of the altar, there is still a sense that something remains. Perhaps it is the memory of the priests, their faith still lingering in the air, in the stones, in the very earth beneath our feet. Perhaps it is the knowledge they once sought, still waiting to be discovered, still hidden beneath the surface of time. As we sit in the quiet of the night, the moonlight casting its soft glow on the stones, we are left with the lingering question: what was it that the priests truly believed? What knowledge did they seek from the stars? And what did they hope to find in their rituals? The silence that surrounds the altar seems to hold the answer, though we may never fully understand it. The stars above, distant and silent, may hold the key, but they are not meant to be understood, only revered. The altar, though abandoned, is still sacred. It is a place where time and space converge, where the divine and the earthly touch, and where the mysteries of the universe are whispered in the quiet of the night. Perhaps it was never meant to be understood, this ancient altar and the faith that surrounded it. Perhaps the true purpose of the altar was not to be a place of answers, but a place of questions. Questions that will never be fully answered, but will echo through the ages, carried on the wind, whispered in the rustling of the leaves, in the hum of the earth beneath our feet. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. And perhaps, in the stillness of the night, when the stars shine brightly above, we can hear those voices, calling us to remember, to seek, and to wonder once again at the mysteries of the universe. In the quiet darkness beneath a forgotten temple, the earth holds a secret, one so ancient, so veiled in time that even the winds seem to hush as they pass. Here, in this sacred place, where the air is thick with the weight of centuries, there lies a door, small, unassuming, carved into the very stone of the earth itself. It is said that the temple once stood as a beacon, alive with the voices of those who sought wisdom, power, and perhaps something more. But now, the temple lies abandoned, its halls silent, its purpose lost to the winds of time. Yet the door remains, as though it has waited patiently, untouched and unseen by the eyes of the world, awaiting a time when its secret will once again be revealed. The temple is shrouded in shadow. The walls, weathered by years of neglect, stretch upwards, disappearing into the dark. The air is cool but thick, holding the scent of ancient stone, damp earth, and the faintest trace of incense, long since burned away. As we step into the temple's depths, the light from above fades, swallowed by the shadows that have settled here. The stone floor, once smooth and polished by countless feet, is now cracked and worn, its surface covered with the dust of forgotten ages. And in the stillness, it is as if the very stones themselves are holding their breath, waiting for something to stir the silence. At the far end of the temple, tucked away from the world, we find it, the door. Carved with intricate designs, it is set into the stone as if it were always meant to be a part of the earth itself. The carvings around the door are cryptic, each figure and symbol speaking a language lost to time. We see gods, celestial beings, their forms twisted and obscured by the passage of centuries. Faces that were once clear and commanding now appear as shadows, their expressions unreadable, their intentions unknown. Some believe these carvings once told the story of a divine prophecy, one that was to guide those who sought the door's secret. But as time passed, the details faded, erased by the relentless passage of days, centuries, and eons. The door, despite its smallness, holds a presence that is impossible to ignore. It stands there in silence, as though it has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of civilizations, all the while guarding its secret. No one has touched this door in countless generations, but still it calls. There is something in its stillness, in the mystery it holds, that stirs the soul. Perhaps it is the quiet promise of forbidden knowledge, the allure of a secret so profound that it could change everything we know. But the door is not just an entrance, it is a threshold. And what lies beyond that threshold, what lies behind the stone, is a question that has lingered unanswered for so long. It is said that when the temple was first constructed, the door was meant to be a gateway to something far greater than anyone could imagine. Whispers tell us that it was the entrance to a sacred vault, one that held treasures beyond all reckoning, golden idols, priceless relics, ancient scrolls that contained the wisdom of the gods themselves. Perhaps it was a burial chamber, where the greatest of kings and queens were laid to rest, their bodies preserved in the cool embrace of stone. Or maybe it was something far more extraordinary, a portal to another realm, a passage to the heavens or to a hidden underworld. Whatever it was, the door stood as the final barrier, the last obstacle between the known world and the mysteries beyond. But time has not been kind to this place. The temple has crumbled, its grand halls now empty and echoing with silence. The treasures, if they ever existed, have long since been lost to the earth. The rituals that once filled these chambers are no more. Their songs faded into the dust. Yet the door remains small, humble, almost insignificant, but undeniably present, a relic of a forgotten age, a keeper of secrets. As we stand before it, a soft breath of air stirs the dust at our feet. The silence feels heavier now, as if the weight of the world is pressing in on us, urging us to pause, to listen, to reflect. The stone of the door is cool beneath our fingertips as we reach out, but there is a hesitation, a pause. We can feel it in the air, an energy, a presence, a pull that is both inviting and warning. It is as though the door itself knows the questions we carry, and yet it remains silent. Perhaps it has waited for us, for a time such as this, when the world has moved on, and the mysteries of the past are ready to be touched once more. But as we linger, there is something intangible that holds us back. It is as though we have come too close, and the moment is too fragile to disturb. The air grows heavier still, thick with the weight of millennia, and we are left standing there, suspended in time. The door, now almost a living presence before us, refuses to open, its secrets locked away as they have always been. The moment passes, and with it, the chance to cross that threshold slips into the void. Some doors, it is said, are meant to remain closed, forever guarding the secrets they hold. Perhaps this door was never meant to be opened. Not by us, not by anyone. Perhaps it was always a symbol, a reminder that some mysteries are not for mortal man, that some knowledge must remain forever beyond our reach. And yet, as we turn away, there is a sense of longing, a quiet yearning that stirs within us, a yearning to know what lies beyond, to understand the history that has been hidden away for so long. As we leave the temple, the air seems to clear, the weight of its silence lifting. The shadows of the temple fade into the distance, and we are left with only the memory of the door, the silent promise of something more. something ancient and profound. But it remains behind us, tucked away beneath the temple, just as it always has been. And perhaps in that moment, we come to understand some mysteries are meant to be left untouched. Some secrets are meant to be buried, locked away in the shadows where they belong. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. And perhaps in that quiet realization, we find a peace that only the deepest mysteries can provide. For some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and some doors remain closed to guide us into silence, into stillness, where the answers are not found, but simply felt, in forgotten corners of the world, where the land does not end so much as sigh into the ocean. There stands a fortress carved from wind and salt and time. It rises from the edge of a cliff like a memory that refuses to fade. Its dark silhouette etched against a sky of slow-moving clouds and distant stars. The waves crash far below with patient force, sending up faint plumes of mist that cling to the lower stones, as if the sea itself is trying to reclaim what was once its own. It is said that the fortress has no true beginning, that no one remembers the day it was raised from the rock. Some believe it was built by kings whose names have long since dissolved into dust. Others whisper that it was there before any kingdom, before any crown, a watchful guardian placed at the meeting point between earth and water, where the world feels thin and the sky hangs low. Tonight, the air is cool and heavy with the scent of salt. The wind breathes softly through the jagged cracks in the walls, turning sharp edges into sighs. Rusted gates, once locked and guarded, stand slightly open, their iron bars streaked with traces of sea-green corrosion. They creak when the wind passes through, not loudly, but gently, the sound stretched thin by years of repetition, like a song that has forgotten its own words. We step across the threshold and into the fortress's embrace. The courtyard inside is empty, carpeted with wild grasses that have pushed through the broken stone. Once, this ground felt the weight of armored feet, the hurried steps of messengers, the quiet, solemn pace of those who guarded the realm. Now there are only the soft impressions of time, the slow encroachment of moss, and the delicate patterns of lichen that paint the walls with pale, ghostly constellations. Beneath the silence, there is a faint echo, as if the fortress remembers every breath that was taken here, every voice that was raised in command, in prayer, in farewell. Whispers tell us that the fortress was built to watch the sea, built for the days when the horizon was not a place of dreams, but of danger. Ships once appeared there, not as ornaments of adventure, but as omens, sails lined like teeth along the edge of the sky. Within these walls, men and women once studied the tide's rhythm, tracing its patterns as carefully as we might trace the lines of an ancient map. They read the stars as if they were written letters, and the sea as if it were a vast, shifting scroll. If we close our eyes, we can almost hear them. We move along the inner wall, our hands brushing the cool stone. It feels worn, smoothed by an age of invisible touch, shaped not by one person, but by the long procession of lives that passed here. The wind presses softly at our backs, guiding us forward along the narrow walkway that overlooks the sea. Far below, the waves rise and fall with slow insistence. Their roar is softened by the distance, transformed into a deep, steady hum, like the earth exhaling in its sleep. The battlements, once sharp and proud, are crumbled in places, stones missing, edges rounded. Yet something of their original purpose still clings to them, as though the fortress has not forgotten what it was meant to be. It was a shield, a line drawn in stone, a promise that those within would be guarded from whatever the sea might send. The archer's slits stare out over the water, narrow, precise openings carved to frame a single line of sight. Now they frame vistas of endless blue and silver, the quiet dance of moonlight on water, the elegant arc of distant waves that break and reform and break again. Where memory fades, stone sometimes remembers. It is said that during long winter nights, when storms rose from the horizon like dark towering spirits, fires burned along these walls. Flames shivered in iron braziers, their light flickering across the faces of watchmen whose eyes never left the horizon. Scrolls were opened within the inner chambers, marked with symbols of winds and tides, notes written in careful hands about the patterns of the sea. The fortress was not just a wall, it was a mind, a place where knowledge was gathered and guarded, where the ocean was studied in the hope that its temper could be understood. But kingdoms grow tired. Empires that once seemed eternal crumble softly, the way a cliff erodes one grain of sand at a time. The banners that flew from these towers have long since been stripped away by storms. The colors, once bright and proud, now only exist in faint hints of dye on rotting threads, if they exist at all. The walls, though still standing, have surrendered to cracks and creeping vines. The gates no longer close. The fortress, though silent, still breathes, but its breath is slow, almost imperceptible. We walk toward one of the towers, its shadow stretching long across the courtyard. The wooden door at its base hangs slightly askew, the hinges rusted, the wood darkened by countless nights of sea mist. Inside, the circular staircase spirals upward, each step worn down in the center by the tread of ancient feet. We climb slowly, our footsteps soft, careful, as if not to disturb the memories held in these stones. The narrow windows slit the darkness with glimpses of ocean and sky, the distant line where they meet like a quiet promise. As we ascend, the air grows thinner, cooler, touched by the breath of the open sky above. The walls here are etched with faint markings, symbols carved by hands that believed the act of marking stone could defy time itself. Names, perhaps, prayers, small drawings of ships, of stars, of strange creatures that may have been seen or only imagined. The stones do not explain. They simply hold what they were given and wait. At the top of the tower, we step out into the open night. The sky stretches above us, a vast dark dome scattered with stars. The moon hangs low and heavy, casting a silver path across the surface of the sea. The fortress, from up here, feels less like a structure and more like a part of the cliff itself, as if it grew from the stone in answer to some ancient call. The wind is stronger here, but it is not harsh. It wraps around us like a cloak, carrying the scent of salt, of wet stone, of something immeasurably old. Beneath the silence, the ocean sings its endless song. We lean against the parapet, feeling the cool stone beneath our hands. Below, the waves coil and uncoil against the base of the cliff, their white foam glowing softly in the moonlight. The fortress has watched this same dance for centuries. The sea rises, the sea falls. Storms come, storms pass. Ships appear and vanish. Kingdoms rise, shine briefly, and then sink, not into water, but into time. And still, the fortress remains, less as a guardian now, and more as a witness. What battles were fought here? We do not know. The fortress offers no answers, only hints. Broken arrowheads buried in the soil. A fragment of rusted chain leaning against a woodhouse. A dark stain on the stone that may be nothing at all. Or maybe everything. Whispers tell us of sieges that lasted long nights and longer days. Of horns blowing across the waves. Of fire bursting against the sky like brief, furious stars. But those are only stories now, softened by the distance of time, reshaped by every tongue that tells them. The stones do not boast. They simply endure. As we descend from the tower, the fortress seems to shift around us. Not physically, but in feeling. It is less a ruin now, and more a memory made solid. A place where human hands once shaped their fears and hopes into walls, into gates, into watchtowers that could defy the tides for a while. But not forever. We pass an inner hall, where the roof has partially fallen away, exposing the stone floor to the open sky. Moonlight filters down like pale rain, pooling in the cracks and corners, turning them into small, quiet lakes of silver. In one corner, a broken table lies on its side, its wood rotted, its purpose forgotten. Once, maps may have been spread across its surface, maps of coasts and islands, of trade routes and war routes, of places marked with ink and hope. Fingers may have traced those lines in candlelight, voices murmuring over strategies, alliances, fears. Now only dust rests there, settling in thin layers over splintered wood. The fortress is still, but it is not empty. It is filled with echoes. We return to the outer wall, where the sea's lullaby is the clearest. Sitting upon the stone, we allow ourselves to listen. Not just with our ears, but with something quieter inside us. The rhythm of the waves is steady and patient. Each one rises, hesitates, and falls, leaving behind a soft exhale of foam that vanishes almost as soon as it appears. It feels like breath, the breath of the world, the breath of time. Beneath the silence, the fortress and the sea share a conversation that needs no words. The stones remember the weight of armor, the ring of steel, the warmth of torches. The sea remembers everything else. The ships that never returned, the dreams carried across its surface, the names whispered into its winds. Between them, there is a balance, stone and water, stillness and motion, memory and forgetting. It is here, in this fragile balance, that we begin to understand. Some places, like the sea, are eternal. They change constantly, yet remain the same. The fortress is not eternal. One day its walls will crumble completely, its towers will collapse, and the sea will climb higher, brushing away the last traces of human intention. But even then, its story will not vanish. It will linger in the salt and the wind, in the murmured tales of those who stand on some distant cliff and wonder about the ruins, half swallowed by the waves. Perhaps it was never meant for us to know exactly what secrets this fortress kept, what vows were sworn here, what losses were mourned within these walls. Perhaps it is enough simply to stand in its presence and feel the weight of what once was, the soft echo of lives lived between stone and sea. As we rise to leave, the wind moves through the empty corridors, through the hollow windows and broken gates, and for a brief moment, it almost sounds like distant voices, faint, indistinct, carried away as soon as we try to listen too closely. The fortress does not speak clearly, but it does not need to. Its silence is its language. Its crumbling walls are its scrolls. Where memory fades, the sea continues to move. We step back through the open gate and onto the cliff's edge. Behind us, the fortress stands dark and still. Before us, the ocean stretches into shadow, its distant horizon merging with the night sky. The moon hangs overhead, marking the moment with a gentle silver light. Marked by the moon, the fortress and the sea seem to bow to one another, each acknowledging the other's place in the long story of the world. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. Tonight, the fortress has not answered our questions, but it has offered us something else. A quiet understanding that not all stories wish to be told in full. Some prefer to remain half buried beneath the waves, half hidden in stone, revealing themselves only in fragments, in the curve of a ruined arch, in the sigh of the wind through an empty tower, in the steady, timeless hush of the sea against the cliff. We turn away, and as we do, the fortress slips gently back into its silence, standing watch over the restless ocean, its secrets safe in the spaces between crashing waves and falling stars. It is said that beneath the ever-shifting sands of the desert there exists a kingdom, ancient, forgotten, swallowed whole by time and the relentless tide of the earth. In the quiet of night, when the wind whispers and the moon casts long shadows, you can almost hear the hum of forgotten streets, the faint murmur of a people who once called this place their home. But the kingdom no longer exists in the world of men. It is buried deep, hidden from view, its memory wrapped in layers of dust, waiting for someone to uncover it. As we step into the desert's vastness, a different world opens before us. The dunes stretch endlessly, rolling hills of sand that shift and sway in the twilight. The air is dry, heavy with the scent of ancient earth, as though the land itself is holding its breath. There is no sound except the whisper of the wind moving across the sand, carrying with it the traces of something long gone. The horizon seems to flicker in the distance, as if the heat itself has made the land tremble. And yet, hidden beneath that heat, beneath the softness of the dunes, lies the weight of history. We follow an unmarked path, the soft rustle of sand beneath our feet, as we move deeper into the desert's embrace. The sun has long since dipped below the horizon, and the cold of night is settling in, creeping through the cracks of the earth. Here, in the heart of this forgotten expanse, something stirs. The stones are quiet, but they are not silent. The carvings upon them, faded by centuries of sandstorms, still tell their stories, though their voices have been softened by time. As we becque, we feel the weight of these stories pressing gently against us, like the memory of a forgotten dream that refuses to fade completely. The wind shifts, and with it, the first signs of the ruins emerge. Stone columns, half buried in the earth, their once proud forms now sagging beneath the weight of centuries. The columns stand like silent sentinels, their surfaces etched with symbols of a kingdom long past. Their shapes are worn, smoothed by the sands that have encroached upon them, but the markings remain, carvings of gods, celestial beings, and forgotten ceremonies. It is said that these columns once held the banners of kings and queens who walked this land, rulers whose names have been erased from history, their glories swallowed by the desert winds. Beneath the silence, the desert breathes. We wander deeper into the ruins, the faintest sound of sand shifting beneath our feet, breaking the stillness. In places, the earth has cracked open, revealing fragments of what once stood. Broken statues, their faces half hidden by time, their eyes lost to the winds. Their bodies lie in fragments, scattered like the ruins of a dream, each piece a clue to the life that once thrived here. And yet, even as they crumble and fade, there is an undeniable beauty to them, a beauty that speaks not of what was lost, but of what was once vibrant, full of life, full of hope. The wind carries the whispers of a civilization that flourished here once. Its people, its art, its way of life, all now forgotten by those who came after. Some believe that this kingdom was the cradle of knowledge, a place where wisdom was passed down from the stars themselves, where the very earth was seen as sacred, a conduit between the heavens and the earth. What happened to it? What caused it to fade? Was it the slow erosion of time, a slow decline like the slow march of the desert itself? Or did something more sudden occur? An explosion of fire, a fall from grace, a tragedy too great to comprehend? As we move through the ancient stone structures, we are overcome by a sense of reverence. There is no immediate answer to what happened here, only the haunting feeling that something was lost, something sacred that will never be fully known. The air grows heavy with silence, and the stillness around us deepens, as though the very earth is holding its breath. The stones seem to absorb the whispers, each one holding a secret too ancient, too distant for us to understand. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the kingdom with all its beauty and wisdom was always destined to slip from memory, to be carried away by the winds of time, as all things must. But still, the ruins remain, half buried in the sand, their shapes softened by the passage of centuries. The kingdom, though lost, is never truly gone. It lingers beneath the surface, in the quiet of the desert, in the whisper of the wind, in the soft rustling of the sand. We walk further, our steps slow and reverent, the path winding through the remains of what once was. There is no sense of urgency here, no need to rush. The kingdom has no more answers to give. It only offers itself, its silence, its beauty, its mysteries, like a forgotten prayer. The air grows cooler as the night deepens, and the moon rises high, casting its pale light over the ruins. The soft glow of moonlight illuminates the crumbling columns and statues, transforming them into shadows, their outlines faint, but still present, as though the kingdom itself is trying to remind us of its once vibrant soul. In the distance, the wind picks up, swirling the sand into soft clouds that dance across the ruins. It is a dance as old as time itself, this ritual of erosion, of decay, of the endless cycle of life and death, creation and destruction. The desert claims all things in the end, swallowing them up, hiding them beneath its vast undulating dunes. Yet even in this quiet, the kingdom endures. Its stories, though half forgotten, still echo in the hearts of those who wander here, who pause long enough to listen to the whispers of the past. The final reflection comes gently, like the softening of a dream. As we stand amidst the ruins, the wind carrying the scent of earth and ancient stone, we are left with a quiet understanding. Some places, some kingdoms, are meant to be lost, to fade beneath the sands of time, to vanish from memory. And yet, they are never truly gone. The memory of what was, of the people who lived here, of the knowledge they sought, of the gods they worshipped, lingers in the very earth itself, waiting to be rediscovered by those who have the patience to listen. Perhaps the answers will never be known, but the silence is enough. It is said that the desert holds all things, even that which is forgotten. Beneath the sands, the kingdom rests, a silent sentinel, waiting for the moment when someone will return to it, when someone will once again walk its paths, listen to its whispers, and remember. For now, we leave it behind, the soft footprints of our steps slowly filling with sand, the ruins fading into the distance. The moonlight fades as the horizon shifts, and the wind picks up, carrying the scent of salt and earth.